Hello together.
Everyone. Ashley here. Hi, Amir. How are you?
I'm doing great. Lovely to see Alan join us. Alan Laubsch. So we're going to get you up as a speaker. Yeah, Ashley.
Um, well, yes, Alan, thank you for joining. This is Ashley here, calling in from San Francisco. As always, it is amazing to have each of you here with us every week. Thank you, Erdem, for joining. I see Baba has joined as well. He was also probably the co-star of our last Twitter Spaces last week. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Once more, we are always so grateful to each of you who join us, spread our mission, and support our climate positivity and regenerative movements. Last week, we had an amazing space with Amir as the star of the show. We went into detail about our core team members and their work within the Web3 space. As I mentioned, we even had Amir's dad join us. I wish my dad would join in, but he still has a difficult time understanding how we're going to utilize blockchain technology to save the planet. But without further ado, Amir, Alan, welcome. I will give you the floor now, Amir. Please take it away.
Thanks a lot. Alan, I see you still as a listener. Maybe we're going to try to bring speaker. Sometimes Twitter is a bit funny, so that might help. I think till we have that figured out, I'm happy to give like a small for all tuning in on protocol and on beta. I'm happy to start off with that. I think as you're still waiting, I will do so. So what is Menthol protocol? Different out on the ReFi Guardians. Those are projects out there which actually help bring positive corrections towards the, for example, which are on-chain available. So call at core having the vision of everywhere is offering this whole landscape at the fingertips of the Menthol protocol users, allowing them as a central core value to offset their carbon footprint automatically just by creating a cool pool. Any individual, organization, or community can create a cool pool. The beta is just around the corner, and we had a lovely party with 20 people working on Menthol protocol, having diverse backgrounds from climate, carbon, tech, business. So we are all super happy to work together on this climate positivity as a service solution, allowing decarbonization of Web3, starting with Web3 projects, networks, dApps, but also individual wallet holders can basically offset their historical and future carbon footprint.
Awesome, Amir. You mentioned beta, the beta launch. Who can have access to the beta? Can you touch more on that?
Yes, sure. So actually, before we will evolve to a permissionless system with a Menthol protocol and as a public good and a cool token as a access token, we will have a permission system allowing good growth of Menthol protocol in a healthy way, starting with the beta where we whitelist wallet addresses, allowing to create cool pools. So I'm actually just seeing a message from Alan. I think he's writing on our official account, so maybe Daniel, you can take a look. So sorry for interrupting here our lovely beta talk. So every individual having a wallet address or any Web3 project using smart contracts can just copy paste their wallet address into a cool pool. We will whitelist addresses to start with, starting in this sense with a permission system. So we are very much looking forward to having great partners by our side from the ReFi supply side, awesome projects out there. So shout out to Flow Carbon, Regen Network, Nori, Moss Earth, many others. So we have lovely talks with Senken, and our partnership team is working very, very hard on closing those partnerships also on the demand side. So now we're it's about you joining. So hope whoever hears this Twitter space, get a wallet if you don't have one, open a Cool Pool account soon, apply first as a better power user. We're looking forward to that.
Awesome. Thank you, Amir. And I would like to mention that we are also in the process of creating short clips to walk users and whitelisters through how to use the Cool Pool and how to operate it. So it's features and functionalities. But
You've been heavily involved with that.
I must say it took me 24 takes, maybe a little more, to get everything situated. With the amount of outside noise that comes through, it was a bit difficult, but it took a while just to create 2 clips. So hopefully it's informative and gives users insight and a better overall understanding of how to create and access a Cool Pool and even fund one as well.
Awesome. No, sounds great. We are very much looking forward to actually seeing this video, and maybe even more so the beta launch. So I just see Alan now. We're all able to multitask. I opened my laptop and went on our Menthol account. So you're asking how to accept the invite. Basically, we will push this process again. Daniel will invite you as a speaker. And basically, you should get a pop-up allowing you to join as a speaker. So please, let's try to initiate this process again. Sorry for this interruption. Ashley, do you have any other specific question or something you would want to share, what you've been working on the last couple of weeks? I know you've been doing incredible work on different, very different areas, from the white paper over to extensive marketing strategies, but I'll be happy to hear from you.
Sure. Yeah. So over the past couple of weeks, the entire team has been ramping up for our beta launch. So we've all been highly involved in different areas within Menthol protocol. I've been, really focusing on the white paper, getting our documentation all aligned with our website, our light paper. It takes time. I want to make sure we're providing the right message within all our platforms. Even so much so when we create our videos to help users navigate our beta DApp landing page or the creation of a Cool Pool, we want it to be as user-friendly as possible. So that takes time. I've been really working on that. I am also ramping up my basketball season here. I'm a athletic director for our county, so we've been working through that. As far as Menthol protocol, I think we have all been putting in a lot of effort, from our tech team to our team working on the grant. Daniel, as always, building in every corner and every aspect within Menthol protocol, and Amir and his amazing business sense, just getting Menthol protocol out there, speaking on many fronts, Twitter spaces, which we were just in one, and Amir was one of the speakers, just getting the word out there, and Amir's been doing a fantastic job. And I think that's it for me. I think the entire team as a whole, Amir, has been doing great work, and it is so enlightening. It's inspiring. Long nights. I know Amir's getting very little sleep, but to save the planet, it takes a team effort, a community effort, and if we all do it together, it is possible.
Thanks a lot, Ashley. Oh, I think that's a wonderful time to have Alan on board as a speaker. Like, just as a small introduction, as I had the lovely pleasure of meeting him face to face. This was actually my first ReFi event in Portugal, where I, coming from a Web3 and business background, got a knee-deep experience in regeneration on a, understanding it also on and experiencing it on a social level, but as well as understanding the economic and ecological dimensions to it. Alan, I don't want to take it away anymore, and lovely having you here. So I hope it works now. Is it possible to join? you would have to unmute yourself.
There we go. There we go.
Awesome. Thanks, Laub.
Thank you, Amir. Thank you, Ashley, for the intro and update on everything that's going on. Yeah, super exciting what you guys are working on, and honored that you guys would have me on this my first Twitter kind of live feed here. Awesome. Yeah, you guys are coming through loud and clear, and hopefully you can hear me well, and happy to jam with you guys.
Awesome, great. No, we hear you loud and clear. Like we actually had a podium discussing Web3 and climate, but I would love if you introduce yourself a little bit, explain us where you come from, and what your journey has been into ReFi. So this was a topic we actually just discussed in the ReFi podcast, where we were honored to be part of. So would love to hear that from you, as you have such an exciting and inspiring story.
Cool. Sure. We'll give you guys a little bit of a background. So I started in the CeFi space, right, on Wall Street as a quant in the 90s, when basically there was the emergence of risk management as a profession, and I spent the first couple of years of my career really building risk models for all kinds of instruments that were traded at JP Morgan, everything from standard assets to derivatives, credit default swaps, and everything pretty much. And we spun off our group as a company called Risk Metrics, with the idea that risk management is a common good. It should be open sourced, transparent. And we just shared everything we did, basically, to our community, and it built a lot of goodwill. We ended up being quite successful as a company. But the financial crisis made me realize that we need to do much more than measure short-term risk and manage risk for ourselves, our own institution. But we really need to look much more broadly. And there's a realization that mispricing of risk results in major crises. When you misprice credit risk and liquidity risk, you get things like the subprime mortgage crisis and various other financial crises. And one asset that we've clearly mispriced has been natural capital, which really is the foundation to all the other forms of capital, right? So financial capital would not exist without the natural capital that makes life possible on Earth, gives us oxygen, food, and everything that we depend on really to live. And so specifically, I started focusing first on carbon because obviously carbon was vastly underpriced in the market. And things like Lord Stern's report back, I think that was in 2006, 2007, inspired me, where he really outlined that the most effective way for us to actually address our carbon deficit would probably be to actually spend about 1% of our GDP, funding the restoration and protection of vital ecosystems, largely, in emerging markets, which have lots of sunshine and photosynthesis. And I started really focusing on that area, seeing how we can actually, rebalance our economic system by basically pricing carbon and moving from an economic system that has externalities to one that's actually balanced, right? So the overall insight here is that we have an economic system that's pretty much like the Death Star. We have an economy based on extraction. It values death. So the trees are worth what their worth in timber is. Fish are priced based on what they sell for on our dinner plates. And obviously, there's huge value of having living forests and vital, healthy ocean ecosystems that vastly exceeds the price of when they are a dead commodity. So I've been connecting to the ReFi, or broadly first the regenerative community, over the last, 6 to 7 years, with this idea that we can actually transition to a regenerative economy, one which values life instead of death, right? So I was just over at a business school talking about some topics for their upcoming conference, and I made this point that getting an MBA or any sort of executive education nowadays makes you an excellent Death Star administrator. You become really good at figuring out how to extract, how to maximize shareholder value, profit, etc. But that's not going to heal the planet. And really, we need to have this shift in consciousness and education, and what we aim for and what we incentivize in an economy. Being on Wall Street, it was very, very clear that incentives drive everything, right? That's what makes people invest, trade. That's what makes companies do whatever they do. So what if we shift the incentive from extraction to regeneration? What if we rewarded stewards of Earth, regenerators, people who are planting trees and protecting species that are endangered? What if we reward them and not just the extraction, right? To balance that. So that's become a central mission. I'll share a story that really changed my life, where I realized that I need to focus on this full time. I was putting my daughter Alea to bed. This was about 5 years ago, and she asked me. She's 9 years old, and she asked me this heartbreaking question, which was, "Daddy, what would it feel like to be the last white rhino? Your parents have been killed. Your friends are all dead. You're all alone. You have no one to play with. You're just walking alone." And that question broke my heart. It broke my heart that our children are thinking about things like that. And I realized that this is something that I need to dedicate my life to. And more people are doing that, and I see that especially in the younger generation. And I applaud what you guys are doing in Menthol. I think that this leadership really is coming from the grassroots, from the people. The institutions are too slow. Simply, there are great people in all the institutions, but the institutional mandates are just too rigid, and they're slowly starting to move in the right direction, but not fast enough. And so I think that what we really need is kind of a rebel alliance for life, right? And that was the first kind of group that I formed, the Natural Capital Alliance. I'm a Star Wars fan, and the idea is kind of a rebel alliance to connect with each other, so that all of these rebels fighting in the front lines, planting mangroves, protecting marine areas, that we can support them, and that we're not fighting alone, and that we can use money as a tool to transform the incentive system. So I started focusing a lot on the trip of what's a currency with purpose, right? Can we actually design currencies that help us regenerate the planet? Glad to meet some pioneers like Union Circo, who founded Proof of Impact, Sean Conway with IXO, that have developed this concept of an impact economy, really this concept that impact has value, right? Let's verify the impact and then create markets where those impact tokens have value. And this is the way that we can really incentivize planetary regeneration. So I met some of the pioneers in tropical forest accounting along the way. Todd Lemons, who basically pitched the UN during the Kyoto Protocol that deforestation is creating a lot of carbon emissions. Why don't we reward carbon credits for those that are protecting and growing forests? And they thought that was a crazy idea. You couldn't quantify the carbon content of a forest, but he did, and that became REDD+. And then I met Dr. Arne Fjørtoft, who was 80 at the time, who was in Myanmar living in planting mangroves, lots of them. And I decided that this is a man that I would go to the end of the world with to support, and they had run out of funding. And basically, we did a very, very quick token launch. Is the tree coin that's backed by a mangrove, planting of a mangrove, and basically we are getting a share of the carbon credits that the project is getting. One of the parameters Arda had put in from the beginning with everything that he does is that half of the carbon credits go to community development, and that's a great standard to go with. I think that projects that extract too much are simply not sustainable, and really we need to make sure that people are healthy for us to have a healthy planet. And so that was at Like, which built the first decentralized exchange on the Bitcoin blockchain. And then fast forward a couple years, I'm now advising various different projects, including Blinder Climate, which has continued the tree coin structure to fund early stage mangrove restoration and blue carbon projects, because that's where the major funding gap is, right? No one will support projects until they're certified, and it really takes a lot of time and money to go through that process. And the growth curves of trees is slow. Mangroves are one of the fastest growing, but you don't get any significant carbon credits until about year 5 or so. So that point has now happened, thankfully, for Worldview in the mangrove project. And so we've started to collect some blue carbon credits, and we set up the mangrove DAO.earth for our community. And what I love about our community is that we want to not just collect dividends, but we want to reinvest them into other projects. So our first community vote, I think the decision was to reinvest 97% of the credits that we're holding into funding new kinds of projects. And since then, I've connected with a lot of great players in the DeFi space, some of whom are your supporters and partners as well. Regen Network, of course, is a superstar. Solid World DAO I'll mention as well. Obviously there's this Klima DAO, which is doing amazing work. And what we really need to do is develop a liquid, transparent market for these ecological assets, so that we can basically empower anyone to invest and be part of it. It's not enough for companies just to say that they're going to go carbon neutral. We really need investors to come into the space. We need carbon prices to be higher as well for new projects to start, right? So that's a little bit of background on myself. I'm based in Portugal, just happy to be a kind of a member of the ReFi community here. And for anyone who's in town, there'll be some meetups next week as well. So hope that's useful, and let me know if any questions.
Oh,
Elaborate.
Alan, thanks a lot. Like, I was so happy when I saw that you would want to join our Twitter space, because having the enriching experience of listening to your part at the ReFi event and also being in discussion with you, also switching German, which was even double fun. But I wanted our community, our team, to have the chance to listen what you have to say, and the multi-dimensional points you've been touching over here. They're I'll definitely listen to it again and reflect on it. You've been touching very important points. Like, what came to my mind is that we had a discussion under one of our Twitter spaces where there was talking about, hey, you're bashing the traditional finance system, and you explained very nicely also at the event as that ReFi or traditional finance differs from ReFi in its ethics, strategy, and fundamentals, having, let's say, cash accumulation and short-term interest and value extraction at its core. That's traditional finance. So although we love innovation, we love the free market, pipapo, we need a guided system, as we have not been accounting for externalities for the environment, but we also know that it doesn't stop there, that social impact tokens, and we've got a variety of different impact tokens coming along, will help mitigate many different causes through traditional finance. I love business, I love economics, I love, and as a business student, I loved hearing you being at JP Morgan, let's say, expert, looking up to that from a business student perspective. So beautiful seeing you come in and actually, build ReFi at its core in 7 years and giving us the foundation to actually build an easy tool to access all of those cool things. So, thanks a lot for those awesome points.
Yeah, thank you, Amir. Like I said, this is so great to see what you guys have done since we met at ReFi or at the TDF a couple months ago.
Yeah, a lot has happened there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're building a key layer to really make it easier for people to actually understand what their footprint is and to take action, and to be climate positive. I would say next there'll be people want to be biodiversity positive. They might want to be water positive. This is a really key part of the regenerative movement to have tools like yours. So congratulations, and really great to be here with you.
No, thanks a lot. Actually, like our Twitter spaces, just like reflecting on that, was talking about, I think, off-chain use cases 3, and like all of those lovely innovations and incentive systems basically tapped to the off-chain B2C market or the off-chain B2B market. Both are very important, latter even more. But empowering also the B2C market is something which is, in my opinion, very, very much achievable. Like I've been working once during the summer, let's say a job in my early 20s, for Worldwide Fund, WWF. So walking and just talking with people on the street and asking about their awareness and if they have the chance to take action yet, and winning them over as clients for WWF was already like, was easy because it was already 10 years ago, such a pressing issue. So now giving the people the possibility to create a cool pool, in our case, put liquidity into that and access and support high quality ReFi projects, doing the hard work actually, right? Making that impact happen, measuring that. So that's really, a cool part. I'm looking forward, basically transitioning the whole ReFi space into the non-Web3 space and its applications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fantastic that you had that background, and running the numbers on climate, it's really extraordinary, right? If you look at the average carbon footprint of a European, let's say 10 tons a year,
15 in my read, yeah.
If we use a simple number like a social cost of carbon of 1,000, numbers range from like probably the central estimate probably is around 400, but let's say 1,000. So that, you've got 10,000 to maybe 15,000 euros of negative externalities. But you can neutralize that, and you can actually be, 10 times climate positive for a small fraction of that.
Instead of spending marketing money, for example, right? Or avoiding this on holiday or whatnot. We don't want to talk about that, but yeah.
And I think there's this great idea that you can make any product and service really climate positive, earth positive. It doesn't take much, right? And there's a few pioneers in that space already. I love what Starboard is doing. They're the first corporate supporter of the mangrove project, and they decided, we're going to plant one mangrove for every board. They did the math and they figured out, over the life cycle of the board and life cycle of a mangrove, that mangrove will actually draw down 10 times more carbon than it takes for our board to be manufactured and distributed. Wow. And then they decided to add a mangrove to every single product. Like you buy a backpack, you buy a paddle, new mangrove. So as a company, Starboard is more than 10 times climate positive, right? And how cool would it be to basically have tokens that represent that? You bought the board. Here's your mangrove tree as a token. It's yours now. You paid for that. You paid for it, and here's your tree, right? So there's amazing things that companies can do to promote climate positive consumption, because at the end of the day, we are still going to consume, but we can actually drive our consumption towards companies that reflect our ethics, right? And I think this is very important to realize that this idea of personal responsibility has resonated with with sort of the more green conscious, more the younger population. But overall, most people don't, buy carbon offsets. It's too difficult. You're going to make it easier. But also this concept that, I want to buy products and services from companies that are actually doing the right thing. So for me to give business to a company that has made profit, without paying for the pollution they've created, and make me basically then, buy an offset for that, I'm still giving business to that company that doesn't give a shit. Whereas if I'm actually doing business with companies that are actually climate positive, earth positive, regenerative, then I'm actually supporting the regenerative players in that space. So I think that's where the real winner is, when you get companies to start to embed this naturally. When an airline doesn't say, "Oh, do you want to offset your carbon?" and they buy the carbon credits for $5 and sell them to you for $20. Like it just kind of goes, you know what? This is crazy. This airline is making money on my airline ticket. And now they're making money selling me carbon credits. I'm just a total sucker, right? So I'd much rather fly with a line that says, you know what? Every trip is double carbon offset, right? Don't worry about it. We've already paid for it. It's part of your ticket. And by the way, here's the trees that we planted. Here's proof of that, right? I think that's where we need to move.
That's so true. And we do have the technologies out there. We also do have, let's say, the people out there who actually expect that more and more. So, looking at Menthol protocol, just shortly summarizing, the core product is the cool pool, which will hold the carbon footprint of an individual, organization, or community. The climate positivity target, so what you were just mentioning, do we want to offset it by 200%, 2000%? Maybe on Binance Smart Chain, it's not so expensive, so one can go up to 20,000%. And the last thing that a cool pool holds is the liquidity for ReFi, essentially the green assets themselves, which are then consumed, respectively retired, according to the settings and the carbon footprint measured. So we will have a cool leaderboard showing across different categories. You can filter through different chains, through different NFT, metaverse, gamify, whatnot, and actually take a look at the most climate positive projects in that genre. And the most climate negative projects, or least climate positive ones, will be at the bottom of it. So that's how we at Menthol want to celebrate every week the weekly leaders in the respective boards. So we're looking to incentivize that together with different mechanisms. Also, maybe for our next topic, talking about our token utilities and how we integrate it into that. But Alan, I think, I personally just imagine or look forward to the step of having this leaderboard for these other non-Web3 projects, especially the B2B. So taking a look at the fashion companies, there's what I heard, 40,000 different methodologies out there to measure carbon impact, also of different companies and whatnot, because that was where the money went for from investments going to climate and the measurement of that, mainly, as I heard at a ReFi event, actually from River. So now actually knowing that we have average data also available for B2C cases, as you mentioned, 10 or 15 ton as a European, or taking a look at the data out there for those companies, it'll be easy to create this transparency layer, not only in Web3, but also in the traditional world, becoming, let's say, a transparency layer, also shedding light on those organizations. The cool thing about Menthol protocol is that it's 100% permissionless. So coming from a NFT, B2B customer perspective, they can involve their community in the climate positivity. Coming from a company, a brand can do the same. So we'll have NFT drops with each of those partners in a collection. As an example, we understand that marketing is a ROI they have to see, but the best ROI and the best they can see is what you've been describing, Alan. All of those, mango trees really there, and connecting that in a trustless system as good as possible.
Yeah, it's fantastic that you guys are doing that. On the carbon footprinting, it's really interesting. You're absolutely right that if a conference organizer like IBM wants to offset their carbon footprint for that conference, not unusual for them to spend $5,000 on the footprinting of the conference and another $5,000 for the carbon credits, right? So the footprinting, is a huge proportion of actually what goes into that. And there's some great work. There are two sort of groups that I think are leading, and one that has a product out already that you might want to integrate with is a Finnish group. Let me just remember what their name is. But first, let me describe what they actually do and what the issue is. So the issue is with companies is that the best source of carbon footprint information is the CDP, and that's the Carbon Disclosure Project, and that's self-disclosed carbon footprint by the companies, and they will either have internal analysts typically, or maybe they hire a big carbon player like South Pole to do that footprinting. But the point is, it is self-disclosed, and you find companies in the same lines of business with very different carbon footprints. So the data cannot really be trusted from a company. It needs to come from a third-party source, right? Basically, if you come up with a model that estimates the carbon footprint based on the economic activities that the company is building is engaged in, like what are the inputs to what they're doing, you can basically build a model that's independent, and basically you then have a kind of a benchmark that is open, accessible with all the inputs there, that can be used as opposed to kind of this internally disclosed, non-transparent process. So I think that's a key component to integrate to. And the company is called Upright Project in Finland. Happy to give you guys an intro there, as well as the second company is Develop Mode, but they're coming up with something very much focused on carbon. They want to open source everything to make this available for anyone. But where Upright is right now is you can kind of go and say, okay, what's the carbon footprint of Levi's? Or you can go, I've got my Levi's jeans. What's the carbon footprint of these jeans, right? So that's the level of detail. They also look at water, social impact, biodiversity impact. So those are the kind of dimensions that they're measuring independently through a science and AI based approach.
That sounds awesome. That's also like one of those cool key things of like Web3 and also the acceleration in, let's say, the technologies out there. If we plug in AI, big data and blockchain together, those systems become very robust. And we are also working on public goods in the methodology area, starting with the on-chain emissions, spearheaded by our Miche, who joined us from big oil and gas companies turning Web3. So that sounds lovely, Alan. Thanks a lot. And we would love to also discover this very juicy part of off-chain B2B and their calculations. So I'm super we're looking forward to this phase and applying it there. So Alan, we kind of talked a little bit longer than planned. But maybe it's super exciting. So happy to hear if you have anything specific you would like to mention, which you would like to throw out. I know you've got a lot of different great insights. So
now
that's over before we.
This was a super good discussion. Thank you. I think we should continue to jam on these topics. It's a very, very rich field. Let's organize another session to delve deeper into some relevant topics. But congrats on everything that you've done, your team, and looking forward to reconnecting soon.
Awesome, that sounds great. So thanks for the honor of being here. I'm looking forward to send you my calendar or something for the next meeting. We've also, of course, would love to have you advising us as we go along. A big thank you from my side. Ashley, thanks a lot for guiding us again in this Twitter space. So there's nothing specific from my side. Thanks a lot.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And see you guys next time around. All the best.
Awesome. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Nir. Thank you, Daniel. And thank
Thanks a
you,
lot.
Christina. Looks like you just joined. Thanks, everyone, and have a great weekend. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy full moon.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye, everybody.